He said, "Be my wife." She fired without a word, and he caught it whispering, "So that's how you say yes?" The wind whipped to the dusty open field, carrying the scent of gunpowder and sand. The sun glared down without mercy, but Captain Ameen barely felt it. His eyes were locked on her, Lieutenant Lina Hadi, sniper of the 5th Border Division. He had never met a woman like her. 3 years ago, she joined a unit with a reputation like a wildfire. Brilliant, untouchable, dangerous. The other soldiers whisper her name with both reverence and fear. She never joked. She never smiled. But when she pulled the trigger, the shot never missed. Ameen had learned early to keep his distance. Not because he didn't want to talk to her, but because every time he did, she looked through him like he was glass. Until now, their unit had just completed a 5-day perimeter mission, guarding an abandoned checkpoint near the Western Hills. There had been whispers of smugglers crossing the border, but nothing concrete. Still, command had sent them just in case. That morning, as they prepared to leave, Ameen saw her sitting alone on the edge of a half-destroyed watchtower, cleaning her rifle like it was sacred. He walked toward her, rehearsing the words in his head like a nervous schoolboy. She didn't look up. "You never answer when I talk to you," he said. Her hands paused for a fraction of a second. "You talk too much." Ameen chuckled. "I get nervous around you." "Why?" "Because you're terrifying." She gave the faintest twitch of smile, but it disappeared before it was born. He crouched beside her. "I mean it. I've served with dozens of soldiers, but you move like silence. You don't need orders. You see everything. You never miss." She wiped the scope clean. "I've been watching you for months," he admitted. "Don't flatter yourself." "I noticed." He took a breath. "I don't say this because I think it's romantic. I say it because it's been burning in me like wildfire and I can't hold it anymore." She turned slightly. "Be my wife." Silence. Nothing. She stared ahead, unblinking, unspeaking, unmoved. Ameen swallowed hard. "That's all I've got." A beat passed. Then another. Then, crack. A single shot rang out. Ameen didn't even flinch. She'd aimed past him, not at him. The shot echoed through the hills like thunder. Then, silence again. She stood up slowly, shouldering her rifle. Without a glance, she began to walk away. Ameen stared at the sand where she'd fired, then turned toward the horizon. Far in the distance, smoke began to rise. He raised his binoculars, adjusted the focus, and his breath caught in his throat. A body, a man in desert robes, a scope slung over his shoulder, a sniper's nest hidden in the rocks. She had known. She had seen. He hadn't. Ameen turned, heart pounding, and called out to her retreating figure. "You saw him." She didn't answer. She just kept walking. He ran to catch up, boots pounding against the dirt. "Lina, you knew someone was aiming at me." She kept her pace. He laughed softly, breathless. "So that's how you say yes." She didn't stop, but this time he swore he saw it. A smile. They didn't speak of that day again. Not directly. But something changed after that. She no longer ignored him. She let him walk beside her. She answered when he asked about her rifle, her training, the wild way she learned to spot threats before anyone else. "You ever miss?" he asked once. "Once," she said. "What happened?" "I never miss again." Then one night, she brought 2 cups of cardamom tea to the fire. One for her, one for him. He said nothing, but his hands trembled slightly when he took the cup. War continued. Missions came and went, but Ameen stopped flirting with danger. He had already found the one person in the world who scared him in the best way. 6 months later, as a convoy prepared to escort them back to the base for a temporary leave, he asked her again, this time under the moon. This time, no one was aiming at him. This time, his voice was quiet. Lina. She looked at him. I'm not asking because I want something soft and perfect. I'm asking because the world is full of chaos, and in the middle of it, I want someone who doesn't flinch. She stepped closer. He didn't speak the words again. They were in his eyes. She took a breath, and then, without a sound, she reached into her jacket pocket and handed him a single brass bullet. Etched into its surface were 2 letters, A+L. He held it like it was made of glass. That's a yes, she whispered. And for once, he was the one who couldn't speak. Their wedding was silent. No guests, no music, just a dusty courtyard behind command post and a prayer whispered between them. She wore her uniform. So, did he? She didn't carry flowers. She carried her rifle. And when the commanding officer signed the papers and saluted, Lina looked up at Ameen and said, with a half-smile, I don't miss. 2 years later, Ameen returned to that same watchtower, now abandoned again whether by time and sun. He sat down with a new rifle across his lap. Lina had gone on a classified mission months ago. He hadn't heard from her since, but he knew better than to assume the worst. She didn't miss. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed across the hills. A single bullet embedded itself in the sand 2 feet from him. He didn't flinch. He looked up at the ridge. She stood there, silhouette sharp against the setting sun. Same stance, same eyes, same answer. He stood slowly, dusted himself off, and raised a hand to his chest. She raised her fingers to her temple in a lazy salute. Then she disappeared behind the rocks again. Ameen smiled, the wind tugging at his jacket. So that's how you say, I'm home, he whispered.